that we needed to make the chamber more accessible. We needed to have a better product, a higher quality. We needed to understand truly that the job of the chamber is to have an impeccable registry because it is required for a safe and secure business environment. So we look back, and during that caucus, we had several teams set up, and each of the members in their team format came up with projects that they would like to execute, and they felt that would help us first and foremost to better ourselves, and then to provide a proper support to the business community of St. Martin to make doing business in St. Martin better. The theme, consequently, for 2015 was Better Business. And everything that was done was geared towards attaining better business. We realized that we had very old files, and as you know, over the years, the quality of paper diminishes, and we were starting to lose documents. So we launched a digitization project, which means that all the chamber files currently are being scanned and preserved in that manner. It's not an easy task because we're talking about 23,000 files plus that need to be scanned. We looked at a program that we used to use, which was a Gamma program. It was not so user-friendly, and we had, the previous board had already purchased another data registry system. So it was upon this board to make sure that a migration from old to new could occur. So in the first quarter of 2015, we started as a board to take the necessary decisions in support of the operations management to ensure that the migration to the new system could occur. We soon realized that in this age of automation, that the chamber could not stay behind, and we had to ensure that we would be accessible online as well. So, as part of automating and making the chamber accessible, the board issued a mandate to operations, permitting them to seek a module for an interface that would permit a connection between our website and our data registry. With that mandate, under the chairmanship of Mrs. Patrick, there was a bidding committee established. This bidding committee outlined the procedures and processes that needed to be followed for a proper bid process. Subsequently, invitations to bid were issued. This process was chosen because of the specialty that we are dealing with within our industry and the confidentiality of our information within the chamber. If I'm not mistaken, there were 4 companies that were requested to participate, of which 3 submitted a bid. The bidding committee, in the presence of a marshal from St. Martin, opened the bids, they reviewed the bids, and thereafter they informed the board of the candidate that had won the bid. And this occurred in the second quarter of 2015. The bid was awarded to Qualogy. Qualogy is a Netherlands-based company with a branch in Suriname, and that branch services the Caribbean. So Qualogy Suriname is the entity that won the bid, and this entity had already developed a module that it could present for the chamber in Aruba. So they had a module that it could indicate of what the possibilities were. I must say that after Qualogy entered into a contract with the Chamber of Commerce to provide this interface module, which occurred in the third quarter of 2015, Qualogy went beyond the terms and conditions of the contract. They delivered to us much more than we had ever anticipated. They became not just a team member, but they became partners, true partners, and to every aspect of the design, the implementation, They were there and they adjusted and they made sure that we can be here today for this tremendous launch. The Chamber of Commerce of St. Martin has, I can brag, a solution that nobody has as yet. When comparing Curacao, Aruba, we have a perfect solution. The quality team came on the island on Sunday. We have 3 members present. Mr. Harris, Eric. The team also trained the staff. As you know, we were closed on Wednesday. They conducted staff training. They worked closely together with Mr. Van Grieken to make sure that we can launch today. My compliments to Quality for an excellent job done and for making Cozy a little better.
I'm feeling funny, man. I feel like I'm getting a pain in my chest.
I got this.
You sure?
Yes. It's 30 breaths and 2 compression. Give her here.
Oh, Monique, look, she waking up.
No, Fernand. It is not 30 breaths and 2 compressions. It is 30 compressions and 2 breaths. CPR can be done in 3 simple steps. Step 1, check and call. Step 2, press down or pump. Step 3, blow.
I got it now. It's 30 compression and 2 breaths.
Yes.
Right. CAB.
Hey, Bob, you're on family vacation. Oh, but your daughter's got the measles. But don't worry about it. With your Be Sure travel insurance, children under 12 are covered for free.
Are you be sure? Be sure.
Yeah, for free. Oh my, what an inventory list, and so unnecessary. But wait, your home contents are all insured by Be Sure. That means that you determine the amount you want to insure. No inventory list, no hassle.
Are you be sure? Be sure.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
Here we go. This is freedom, this is life. Happiness is all I'm seeking. Carpe diem, I'm seizing every day, not just the weekend. Here's to all the good times that have come to last. Here's to living in the now.
When you can afford what you crave, life just gets so good.
Alive and I'm feeling good, so good, so good, so good. Hey, I'm gonna live my life, feeling good, so good, real good, so
KFC, so good for everyone.
In particular, the legislation commits the ministry to prioritize the development of preventative measures, in particular addressing vulnerable groups in our community. This certainly does not mean that we're not interested in the overall health of the residents and visitors, but that we focus our efforts on our vulnerable groups, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. And some of this needs to be worked out further into other legislation or LBHAMs. So just to touch a little bit about what the ordinance does not address. National health insurance. In the end, many of the things that we're talking about are intertwined, but just to give you a scope of what some of the things that are not specifically addressed in the legislation. So that would be national health insurance, healthcare institutions, and occupational health and safety. So the purpose of what we're proposing today is to replace outdated legislation and to comply with international regulations that have been set out by the WHO or the World Health Organization in their international health regulations. So the current legislation in St. Martin is outdated and not fully compliant. And this is a process that the ministry has been working on for about 4 years, I think now. And the lack of clarity on tasks and responsibilities, and in particular in the way that it overlaps and coordinates with different ministries, has made enforcement and compliance somewhat difficult. Some changes, I mean, I'll give you just one example. In our discussions as I was preparing for the meeting today, if we're speaking about diseases such as dengue and chikungunya, and we're talking about prevention, my question to them was, well, how are we addressing breeding grounds for mosquitoes? Mosquitoes as vector for some of these diseases. If we're really interested in talking about prevention, then we would be addressing breeding grounds, for example. And sure enough, within the legislation, the idea is that the inspection department would now have more possibilities, more authorities, and more disciplinary measures as well to enforce compliance to address exactly that issue. So issues about, for example, septic water that are pooling in different areas and creating breeding grounds for vectors. These are now, it's now possible through this legislation to start to address in a more systematic way those issues. Epidemic-prone communicable diseases, these are been categorized into 4 different categories. And basically, I've given a couple of examples. Category A is the group of most concern. This is highly contagious. These are diseases that could be life-threatening. So therefore, these are diseases that obviously have paramount attention. And then all the way down to category C, which are diseases like chikungunya and dengue. And attached to each of the different categories are different reporting obligations, different response mechanisms, and different resources that the ministry is allowed to access. In terms of non-communicable diseases, the legislation commits government to address reporting, information about risks, prevention programs and policies, and to obviously promote cooperation as well. And these are in particular for non-communicable diseases, which for example would be hypertension, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, respiratory disorders, and cancer. The legislation obviously focuses on vulnerable groups. And by that we mean children or adolescents, elderly, persons with disabilities, and indigent persons. So the idea is not that, again, that we're not concerned about other members of the community. But for example, there's cases where, let's say chikungunya or dengue should not be a life-threatening disease. If you have an individual who's basically in good health, it would come as a, let's call it like a severe flu-like symptom illness. But if you're in one of the vulnerable groups, so for example, if you're elderly and you're not quite in good health or very young, these vulnerable groups are more susceptible to complications and perhaps even fatalities. So That's naturally why the legislation focuses on addressing vulnerable groups. We mentioned about neonatal screening. This is by note of an amendment. This has been added to the public health ordinance, and this includes, this is at birth. Again, this would probably be more known as like a heel prick, for example. So when babies are born, that they're tested immediately, and this test, for example, would uncover a variety of genetic conditions that might lead to more serious untreated or unaddressed, undiagnosed brain damage, organ damage, or perhaps even fatalities. Diseases like amino acid disorders, congenital hypothyroidism, and cystic fibrosis. So in short, that's an overview of what the ordinance addresses on a sort of a broad overview.
Okay, knowing me, I'm always coming up with crazy, wild ideas. So this is what I decided to do, was to build an indoor climbing wall. Kids, I want to open a recreation for the kids, so they have something different to do. This whole room, I'll use a space. I have a table tennis table, I have darts, so eventually I have boxing for the youth. So this is just something additional. And I think it's the first gym that actually have an indoor climbing wall. I'm in progress of putting it together. The major part of it is done. All these little climbers, you know, kids to get on there, test their upper body strength. So what I did, I built these triangles to make it a little bit more interesting and a little bit more challenging. We have handholds, we have the foot holds, so, you know, just to walk themselves across, doing different stuff on it. So that's in the making. When it's up, I'm gonna do flyers and have times when they're available to come in. Mostly if people with kids who wanna work out and have little kids who don't know what to do with them, voila, they have something to do to keep them active, keep them motivated. So that was my main goal of this. I had the idea was to do it for my grandson. So he inspired me. I was going to do a tiny one. And then I said, why not make it bigger and let other kids enjoy it? So he'll enjoy it as well as other kids. Some of my members have seen it and they're like, wow, that is so cool. Let me know when it's done so I can get climbing on it. So, you know, there's more to go. I'm going to put it in the roof a bit, some holders and stuff. So it'll be interesting and more challenging for the adults too.
So how long did you have this in the making to get done?
The idea came up 2 months ago. And then I said, okay, let's just do it. So all the designs on it, the painting I did myself. You know, I have my friend Richard come in, help me with the harder part of the work. And yeah, so one of my dreams, again, has fulfilled. And I just keep coming up with new ideas to motivate people. And I want to focus more on the youth. Not just the boxing, but give them other stuff to do.
Yeah, but here at the gym, you don't joke with anything at all. You make sure that to keep people fit in all type of ways.
Exactly, and it's not just adults, but family. You know, get it family oriented. Yeah, I keep it interesting, and just a trendsetter. Yeah, keep me motivated to do that. Fitness level, there's no holding back, there's no boundaries, so you just keep pushing yourself a little further each time. I'll get you on it too one day.
Yeah, so don't calm it down.
No, man, it's strong. So yeah, so that's, so what happened is there's two sides of it, and then we also have this side. So it's gonna be two sides. So this one, yeah, this side I have a lot of holes to put on, so I'll get it going today. So by the end of the month, it's up and running.
been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
For us to be considered equal partners in the kingdom, we must be treated as such. And if we are going to meet as kingdom partners, Mr. Chairman, and periodically every 6 months to discuss issues in different situations that affect us as a kingdom and moving forward, to get productivity and no hostility out of those meetings, the first thing must be done is upon the arrival of the Dutch members of government, the first thing, it was always negativity. It was, there's going to be a proposal to adjust the salaries of the MPs, which is fine. You can table any kind of proposal that you see fit. My question, my thing is, which was interesting, when the discussion came up about the possible financing of students for the region, immediately all of the members of the Dutch Parliament was on the same page saying, but you're an autonomous country. How are you asking the kingdom now to finance that? So to their convenience, we're autonomous. Whenever it comes to putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak, we're autonomous. Like they say, we have a mixed market. But on the flip side, they're in all of our so-called daily affairs. We're also an autonomous country when it comes to our salaries. We're also an autonomous country when they go to St. Peter's to put the ear to the ground, because when we travel to Holland, we don't go to poor districts. And for the two MPs in particular, I know we may dress up nicely, but we've always been poor. St. Martin has always been poor. So by them going now, they may have a couple of people in a lot of, a larger demographic of people in St. Martin that are not, if you do it comparatively to what is rich, then you will see how rich we really are. So to come and pretend that you really care, while we have to live with it, we here live with it. I was a member of the Island Council and the Executive Council. I had that privilege, which was afforded to me by the people of St. Martin, Mr. Chairman, for 8 years. And you in one of your speeches said it. You said, I took a leave of absence from my job, got elected, and never realized what the salary of an Island Council member was. And the salary was 1,100 guilders. But that was okay. And for 8 years, that was okay. No one from Holland, no one from the Dutch government, no one from the central government at the time said, well, we should adjust the salaries of the Island Council members. I mean, they're the local legislators, but that was fine. But today, the biggest problem is the salaries of the MPs of St. Martin, and saying that the wrong people are getting into politics because we are chasing. Why is it always that we, as locals, we as indigenous St. Martiners or indigenous Caribbean people, why are we the ones who are always hungry for money? While we do not control the wealth and the mass wealth of this world. We have not colonialized any country. We have not exploited any nations, but we are the ones that always are hungry for money. And I saw the way that the meeting was going, and I agree wholeheartedly. While we are neighbors, and they're looking out for the interests of the best islands, but the best islands' connectivity to us, as far as culturally, is closer than to the kingdom. But here it is, they want a helipad. And they want to know why are there not more scheduled flights to Sabre and Statia? Well, the reality of that's not really our problem. If the Dutch governments want more scheduled flights to Sabre and Statia is ultimately their territory. Schedule more flights. Put more planes. They have the resources. If they want a helipad, the Dutch government should walk in and say, well, you know something? How much does it cost to put a helipad at the St. Martin Medical Center? They did the same thing with a fiber optic cable. When it benefited them, they ran the fiber optic cable to St. Sabre, and Statia. Same thing. But it's a bill that St. Martin must foot for a helipad. But then who's going to own the helicopter? Who's going to fly the patients to and fro? So these are the things, and if we are going to be equal partners, if we are going to actually come to resolutions that are proposed, we're going to have to actually sit in these meetings, set a goal, and work towards those goals.